Hello and welcome to our channel. This is a place where motivation meets action, and every video is designed to inspire you to chase your dreams and embrace your fullest potential. We're here to ignite your passion, fuel your drive, and remind you that anything is possible. Join us by subscribing and let's walk this journey of growth and success together. Imagine standing at the edge of despair, stripped of everything, your freedom, your loved ones, even your dignity, and still finding a reason to live. This is the gripping reality Viktor E. Frankl shares in Man's Search for Meaning, a book that transcends the pages to touch the core of what it means to be human. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychiatrist, doesn't just recount the horrors of the concentration camps. He reveals the profound truths he discovered in the darkest moments of his life. At its heart, this book is about hope. Not the naive kind, but the kind forged through suffering and resilience. It's about discovering meaning when the world around you seems devoid of it, and realizing that even in the face of unimaginable pain, we have the freedom to choose our response. Frankl's insights are not just reflections on survival, they are a guide to living a life rich with purpose, no matter the circumstances. If you've ever wondered how to find meaning in your struggles or how to turn life's inevitable suffering into a source of strength, in this video we will walk you through Frankl's transformative wisdom and inspire you to explore the answers for yourself. Chapter 1. The Psychological Journey of a Concentration Camp Prisoner. Inspiration. Takeaway from Chapter 1. After reading the first chapter, you might find yourself shaken, reflecting on the depths of human suffering and the indomitable will to survive, but you'll also feel inspired, perhaps more than you have in a long time. Frankl doesn't just recount the despair of the concentration camps, he teaches us the power of perspective, resilience, and the search for meaning. Even when everything seems lost, there is a flame within us that can keep burning, no matter how fierce the storm outside may rage. Frankl encourages us to look inward, to realize that life's challenges are not always obstacles to overcome, but opportunities to discover who we truly are. In the camp, Frankl observed that those who survived were not necessarily the physically strong but the mentally and emotionally resilient. They were those who held on to something, whether it was a vision of a loved one, a belief in a higher power, or a sense of purpose. It was this deeper sense of meaning that gave them the strength to persevere. This takeaway isn't just philosophical, it's practical. When we face our own struggles, whether they're as profound as loss or as ordinary as daily disappointments, we are often confronted with a choice: to succumb to despair, or to search for meaning in our circumstances. Frankl's experience shows us that meaning can be found even in the most dire situations. And often that search for meaning can transform our suffering into something purposeful. Perhaps the greatest inspiration we can take from Frankl's words is this: no matter what life throws our way, we still hold the power to choose our response. We can't always control our circumstances, but we can always control our attitude and our commitment to finding meaning. That realization alone can provide the courage to face any challenge, knowing that even in the darkest moments, we are the ones who determine how we live. And in that sense, we are never truly powerless. So as you read Frankl's story, let it be a reminder that no matter how bleak the path ahead may seem, we always have the ability to find meaning and strength within ourselves. This powerful message is not just for those who have lived through war or trauma. It is for all of us who seek purpose in our daily lives. Frankl's message is universal, and it can serve as a guide for navigating both the big and small challenges that life places before us. Chapter 2. Methods of Psychological Resistance. Inspiration. Takeaway from Chapter 2. Chapter 2 of Man's Search for Meaning is filled with profound lessons, ones that reach beyond the confines of concentration camps and into our everyday lives. Frankl invites us to look deeper at the emotional processes we go through when we face suffering, and through his analysis, we learn something incredibly powerful about human resilience. The first major takeaway from this chapter is that suffering, though often inevitable, does not have to define us. It is not the pain we endure that determines the course of our lives, but how we respond to it. Frankl's exploration of the stages of suffering reveals that while we may be subjected to external forces that seem beyond our control, our internal response is still our own. The ability to find meaning in suffering is not just a theoretical concept, it is a tool for survival. Frankl's message is clear: even in the most unimaginable circumstances, we have the power to shape our experience through our thoughts and attitudes. This realization is liberating. It shows us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we choose to interpret it. Secondly, Frankl underscores the importance of purpose. It is not enough to simply exist in the face of adversity. We must find something that gives our suffering meaning. Whether it is a loved one, a personal goal, or a deeper spiritual belief, having a purpose can provide the strength to endure the most difficult trials. The prisoners who survived were often those who clung to a reason for living, no matter how small or abstract. This is an essential message. When life becomes overwhelming, finding something, anything that gives us meaning is the key to unlocking our strength and continuing on. Perhaps the most powerful lesson in this chapter is that the human spirit is more resilient than we often give it credit for. Frankl's insights remind us that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by how we choose to rise above them. Whether we are facing personal struggles, loss, or the everyday challenges of life, Frankl's words give us permission to be resilient, to hold on to meaning, to choose our attitude, and to believe that there is always something worth fighting for. So as you read this chapter, take a moment to reflect on your own life and the struggles you face. Do they define you, or do you define how you face them? Frankl shows us that meaning is always available to us, and it is this search for meaning that can transform our suffering into something profoundly empowering. In the end, it's not about avoiding pain, it's about choosing how to live with it. Chapter 3: Logotherapy and Meaning. The core takeaway from this chapter is that we all have the capacity to find meaning, no matter our situation. Frankl makes it clear that meaning is not an abstract concept reserved for philosophers or religious figures. It is something that each of us can find in our own lives, no matter how bleak the outlook may seem. This realization is nothing short of transformative. In this chapter, Frankl encourages us to reflect on our own lives and ask ourselves, what is the meaning of my suffering? Whether we are facing personal loss, a career setback, or a health crisis, we can choose to ask this question and begin the search for meaning within our circumstances. Frankl shows us that it's not the nature of the suffering that matters, but our attitude toward it. Suffering is inevitable, but how we respond to it can shape the very course of our lives. Another inspiring aspect of this chapter is Frankl's exploration of existential frustration. In today's world, where many people struggle to find purpose amidst a culture that often prioritizes materialism or fleeting pleasures, Frankl's words are a call to go deeper. We may feel disillusioned or disconnected from a sense of purpose, but Frankl assures us that this frustration is not a dead end. It's simply a signpost, urging us to explore more meaningful paths. The search for meaning is an ongoing process, and even when we face difficulties, it is the pursuit of meaning itself that can give us the strength to persevere. One of the most powerful lessons Frankl offers is that meaning is not something we can passively wait for. It is something we must actively seek, even in the most difficult of circumstances. Frankl's example from the concentration camps illustrates that it is not the physical suffering that breaks a person, it is the loss of meaning. Those who had something to live for, no matter how small or abstract, were able to endure when others could not. This is a message that can resonate with anyone, anywhere, in any situation. If we have meaning in our lives, we have the strength to carry on. In a world where many of us grapple with uncertainty, stress, or a sense of aimlessness, Frankl's philosophy is both a balm and a challenge. It invites us to take responsibility for finding meaning in our lives, and to use that meaning as a source of strength. The true power of this chapter lies in the realization that meaning is available to all of us. It is a matter of perception, choice, and commitment to the search for something greater than ourselves. So, as you reflect on Frankl's words, take a moment to consider your own search for meaning. What gives your life purpose? What can you turn to when you feel overwhelmed or lost? Frankl teaches us that meaning is not just something we find, it is something we create. And in that creation, we find the strength to live fully, no matter the challenges we face. Chapter 4: Paths to find meaning. Chapter 4 leaves us with some powerful, transformative ideas about how we can lead more meaningful lives in our own world, no matter how far removed we are from the extraordinary circumstances Frankl faced in the concentration camps. Perhaps the most significant takeaway from this chapter is Frankl's assertion that meaning is not something we passively receive but something we actively seek and create. Meaning does not come from external conditions. It is found within us through the choices we make and the way we engage with the world around us. Frankl's idea of self-transcendence speaks to this deeply. It encourages us to look beyond ourselves, to reach out to others and to connect with a cause or a purpose that gives our lives depth. It's not about accumulating material wealth or achieving outward success, but about focusing on what we can give to the world and to those around us. This is an invitation to move from a self-centered existence to one where our actions and values serve something larger than ourselves. When we live with this mindset, we often find that the meaning we seek comes naturally, through the relationships we form, the work we do, or the contributions we make. Another powerful insight from this chapter is Frankl's critique of the Sunday neurosis, the emptiness people feel when they have nothing to do or no purpose to fulfill. In today's world, many of us fill our time with distractions, from television shows to social media to endless tasks that don't necessarily lead to fulfillment. Frankl warns us that without a deeper sense of purpose, we can easily fall into the trap of aimlessness. The solution, he suggests, lies in creating meaningful goals and being intentional in how we spend our time. When we lack this sense of purpose, life can feel hollow, regardless of how much we have in terms of material success. Frankl's most enduring message in this chapter is about the power of choice. No matter what our external conditions are, no matter how difficult or painful our circumstances, what matters most is how we choose to respond. The realization that we are not defined by our situation, but by how we choose to engage with it, is empowering. Frankl's example of survival in the concentration camps shows us that even in the most unimaginable suffering, it is our attitude and our choices that ultimately determine our fate. This means that, even in life's most difficult moments, we still have the power to shape our inner experience. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, Frankl's philosophy offers a source of strength and clarity. It calls us to take responsibility for our own lives and to find meaning in everything we do. Whether it's through service to others, the pursuit of personal growth, or the commitment to a larger cause, Frankl's words remind us that meaning is not something we find, but something we create through the way we live. So, as you reflect on this chapter, consider how you can apply these insights to your own life. What gives your life meaning? How can you transcend the distractions and superficialities of modern existence to engage with something greater? Frankl teaches us that when we seek meaning, not just pleasure, not just success, but true deep meaning, we unlock the transformative power to face any hardship with resilience and purpose. Chapter 5. Challenges in Finding Meaning. Chapter 5 of Man's Search for Meaning offers us some of the most practical and inspiring insights in the book. One of the most profound takeaways from this chapter is the concept of the will to meaning. Frankl asserts that this fundamental human drive is what gives us the ability to persevere, even in the most challenging situations. This idea changes the way we view suffering. Rather than seeing hardship as something to be avoided or feared, Frankl encourages us to view it as an opportunity to find meaning. It's not about denying pain, it's about using it as a stepping stone to personal growth and a deeper understanding of ourselves. The idea of existential frustration is another central theme in this chapter. Frankl speaks to the modern condition where many people are living lives that are outwardly successful but internally empty. We may have everything society tells us we need, money, status, or possessions, but still feel a profound sense of meaninglessness. Frankl's insight is powerful. Without a deeper purpose, life can feel hollow. But it doesn't have to stay that way. By recognizing that meaning is something we must actively seek, we can transform this frustration into something constructive. Frankl teaches us that meaning is not something that simply happens to us. It is something we must pursue, even in the face of adversity. Frankl's concept of self-transcendence is deeply inspiring. It suggests that the key to overcoming our inner struggles and finding meaning is to look beyond ourselves. Instead of focusing on our own pain or desires, we are called to find meaning in serving others, contributing to something greater than ourselves, or pursuing a purpose that transcends our immediate circumstances. This is a lesson in humility and service, a reminder that the key to fulfillment lies in connecting with something bigger than our own egos. Another valuable takeaway from this chapter is Frankl's insistence on the freedom of choice. Even when we face external suffering that we cannot control, we always have the power to choose how we respond. This is a liberating thought. It means that, no matter what happens to us, we are not prisoners to our circumstances. Our attitudes are ours to shape. This inner freedom, the freedom to choose our response to suffering, is one of the greatest gifts we have. And it is this freedom, Frankl argues, that enables us to live meaningful lives no matter the challenges we face. In our everyday lives, this chapter invites us to reflect on how we can find meaning in the ordinary and extraordinary alike. It challenges us to confront any feelings of existential emptiness and begin the search for a deeper purpose. Are we truly engaged with life, or are we simply going through the motions? How can we transcend our immediate concerns and direct our energies towards something meaningful, whether it's a cause, a relationship, or a personal goal? Frankl shows us that meaning is always available to us, but we must actively seek it out. Chapter 5 provides the tools for living a life filled with purpose, even when the road ahead is uncertain. Frankl's words are a call to action, to search for meaning in everything we do, to transcend our self-centered desires, and to embrace the freedom we have to shape our response to life's challenges. When we live with meaning, we transform our suffering into an opportunity for growth, and we turn our lives into a testament to the power of the human spirit. Chapter 6. Using logotherapy to combat anxiety. Chapter 6 provides us with some of the most profound insights into the human condition, offering a framework for how we can find meaning in our lives, no matter the challenges we face. One of the most impactful lessons from this chapter is the concept of tragic optimism. Frankl teaches us that even in the face of tragedy and suffering, there is always an opportunity for growth and meaning. It's a reminder that we are not merely victims of our circumstances. We have the power to choose how we respond to them. No matter how difficult life becomes, we can find a way to transform our suffering into something purposeful. This idea of tragic optimism is revolutionary because it gives us a tool for navigating life's inevitable hardships. Instead of succumbing to despair, Frankl encourages us to seek meaning in every experience, no matter how painful. This doesn't mean ignoring the reality of suffering, but rather confronting it with the belief that there is always a deeper lesson to be learned. Whether we are grieving a loss, facing illness, or dealing with other challenges, Frankl shows us that we can choose to live with optimism, resilience, and purpose. Another powerful takeaway from this chapter is Frankl's emphasis on personal responsibility. He urges us to take full responsibility for our lives, not just in terms of our actions, but also in how we choose our values and how we engage with the world. Life is not something that happens to us, it is something we actively participate in. By living with intention and making decisions based on what truly matters to us, we create meaning in our lives. This is a call to embrace our agency and to shape our lives in a way that aligns with our deepest values. The role of love is also a central theme in this chapter, and Frankl's reflections on love as a source of meaning are both touching and transformative. Love, Frankl suggests, is not just about feelings or romantic attachment, it is a commitment to the well-being of another person. Love becomes a source of strength because it transcends personal suffering and connects us to something greater than ourselves. Frankl's own experience of holding on to the memory of his wife during his time in the concentration camp serves as a powerful reminder of how love can sustain us in the darkest times. Love, as Frankl presents it, becomes a lifeline, a way of transcending the self and finding meaning through connection to others. Frankl's ideas in this chapter invite us to reflect on our own lives and ask ourselves how we can live with tragic optimism, how we can take responsibility for our search for meaning, and how we can nurture love as a source of strength and purpose. These concepts are not abstract, they are practical tools for living a life filled with meaning, regardless of the external circumstances. In today's world, where many of us are caught up in the pursuit of success, pleasure, or material wealth, Frankl's philosophy provides a powerful alternative. It calls us to look beyond the superficial and engage with life on a deeper level. It challenges us to embrace our suffering, to take responsibility for our lives, and to find meaning in every situation. Chapter 6 provides a blueprint for living a meaningful life, one that is grounded in resilience, responsibility, and love. It's a call to embrace life fully, with all its struggles and challenges, knowing that even in our darkest moments there is always the possibility of finding meaning. Frankl's message is clear. Life may not always be easy, but it is always meaningful, and it is up to us to find that meaning, no matter what. Summary, inspiration. Takeaway from Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is one of the most profound works of modern philosophy and psychology, offering not just an analysis of human suffering but a transformative guide on how to live a meaningful life. Frankl's personal experience as a Holocaust survivor, alongside his deep psychological insights, leads to a philosophy that speaks to the core of the human condition. At the heart of the book is the belief that the search for meaning is not only essential for survival, but also for living a fulfilled life. The book is split into two parts. The first recounts Frankl's experiences as a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz, and the second introduces his psychological theory of logotherapy, which emphasizes the importance of meaning in human life. What makes Man's Search for Meaning powerful is how Frankl shows that even in the most extreme circumstances, such as the horrors of a concentration camp, people can find meaning and purpose. Through his own survival and the observations of his fellow inmates, Frankl concludes that it is not the external circumstances that determine the course of our lives, but our response to those circumstances. This is where Frankl's philosophy offers true power. One of the key takeaways from the book is Frankl's assertion that meaning is the driving force behind human existence. Frankl famously states that life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. This statement echoes throughout the book, underscoring the idea that meaning is not a luxury or an abstract concept, but a fundamental human need. Unlike other psychological theories that center on pleasure, Freud's pleasure principle, or power, Adler's will to power, Frankl argues that the true driving force of human behavior is the search for meaning. This is especially poignant in a world that often emphasizes external markers of success, such as wealth or social status, rather than internal fulfillment. In the concentration camps, Frankl witnessed firsthand how the will to live was sustained not by material comforts or guarantees of survival, but by a sense of meaning. He observed that those prisoners who found meaning in their suffering, whether through their love for family members, religious faith, or a sense of duty, were more likely to survive. This insight reveals a paradox. Suffering, when approached with a sense of purpose, can be transcended. Frankl famously coined the term tragic optimism, which describes the ability to maintain hope and find meaning even in the most difficult and tragic circumstances. He explains that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can choose how we respond to them. This concept of tragic optimism is not about denying the reality of suffering but about embracing it and finding meaning through it. Frankl teaches that suffering, pain, and hardship are inevitable aspects of life, but that they do not define us unless we allow them to. What truly matters is our attitude towards suffering and how we find meaning in the face of adversity. Frankl's perspective offers liberation from the belief that we must avoid pain at all costs, or that happiness can be obtained by external means. Instead, it encourages us to face life with courage, understanding that even the darkest moments can be sources of growth if we approach them with the right mindset. The idea of self-transcendence also plays a central role in Frankl's philosophy. He argues that true meaning is found not by focusing inward on our own desires or needs, but by reaching out to others or dedicating ourselves to a cause larger than ourselves. This principle of self-transcendence suggests that we find fulfillment when we move beyond our egos, when we serve others, or when we contribute to something greater than our own individual existence. This can be a particularly valuable insight in today's world, where many people feel disconnected or disillusioned by the pursuit of individual success. Frankl's message is clear. The key to a meaningful life is to look beyond oneself. Frankl also emphasizes that freedom is at the core of human dignity. Even in the direst of circumstances, such as his time in the concentration camps, Frankl discovered that the one freedom that could never be taken away was the freedom to choose how to respond to his circumstances. This freedom, he argues, is what defines us as humans. It is the ultimate expression of our autonomy and power. Frankl challenges the idea that we are solely defined by our circumstances, reminding us that, regardless of the situation, we retain the ability to choose our attitudes, our responses, and our actions. This sense of freedom, though sometimes seemingly small in the face of overwhelming adversity, is a profound source of strength. Another powerful lesson from the book is the importance of living with intentionality. Frankl argues that meaning is not something that happens to us passively, but something that we actively seek. It is a conscious decision to live with purpose, to choose what gives our lives value, and to dedicate ourselves to those things. Frankl's approach encourages us to engage fully with life, to embrace both the joys and the hardships with an awareness that meaning is always available to us if we are open to it. This is where Frankl's logotherapy, which focuses on helping people discover meaning in their lives, becomes a practical tool for overcoming existential frustration. His philosophy offers a blueprint for living with purpose, even in the midst of personal or collective crisis. Ultimately, man's search for meaning is a call to action. It invites us to take responsibility for our lives and to actively seek out meaning, whether through relationships, work, spirituality, or a commitment to a cause. Frankl's message is not one of passive acceptance but of active engagement with life's challenges and opportunities. He offers a profound reminder that life is full of meaning, if only we are willing to search for it, no matter the circumstances. In a world that often seems to prioritize material success or external validation, Frankl's philosophy offers a refreshing and much-needed perspective. It challenges us to reframe our understanding of happiness and success, urging us instead to seek meaning in everything we do. As Frankl writes, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That's all for today. I hope you did learn quite a few things from this video. If you have any questions, you can send us an email or write your question in the comments section. And if you enjoyed this video and it brought value to your day, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who might need it too. And if you want to be part of this journey with us, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we share more content. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video. Why stay tuned, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next one.